I'm going to explain to you how you can ride the KTM Duke 390 gears. Now, motorcycles with a higher capacity will come with 6 gears. So usually it is 1 down and 5 up, total of 6 gears. Now I'm going to show you how to shift gears. Oh, it is quite hot. Let's begin. The bike is in neutral. You will get to see a green indicator over here which shows that the bike is in neutral. Turn off the bike. This is the ignition switch. First, you turn on the ignition so that the engine is ready to start. So ignition on. Press this button once. So let's begin. Hold the clutch in. Right now the bike is in neutral. Hold the clutch in. And 1 down, 5 up, right? So push the pedal down. The bike is in gear. Now what you have to do is you have to release the clutch slowly. It's okay even if you don't give the throttle. Just release the clutch slowly and the bike starts to move forward. Now the bike is moving forward. At an idle speed on the Duke 390 is going to keep going forward at around 9 or 10 kilometers per hour. Right now I have given 0 throttle. Let's increase the throttle now. Now pull the clutch in again and shift to the second gear. Did you hear the loud sound? That usually happens with the Duke 390. It's got a very loud shifting sound. Now we are in second gear. The best way to start is by giving a little bit of throttle and then releasing the clutch slowly. So the chance of the bike stalling reduces further. Now once it goes to somewhere in the middle of the RPM range, hold the clutch in and shift to third. Now it's in third. Wow, beautiful. But when I'm making the turn, I shift it back to the second because I need more power. That's the thing with the Duke 390. You need to keep shifting gears because all the power is in the higher rev range. So that is why it's not the most ideal bike for the city. But maybe the Gen 3 has improved. I don't know. I've not tried it. But at least with the Gen 2, all the power is higher up. So I have to keep shifting gears over and over again if I have to move around in the city. So currently I am in third gear. The front brake is the most powerful and is going to do 95% of all the braking. It's got a very large disc in the front, the Duke. So you can see it even without using any rear brake, the bike is going to slow down very rapidly. So you have to be careful. Thankfully nowadays bikes have ABS, so the chances of it sliding are reduced, but they are not completely eliminated, so you have to be careful. Okay, now we're going to hit the highway. This is the first gear. What a screamer of an engine. Now I'm going to hold the clutch in. This is the second gear. Because the road ahead is open, I can shift to the third as well. So hold the clutch in, third. You see it catches speed very quickly. That is why you need to be careful. Now when we are on the highway, make sure there is enough gap in front of you because the bike can catch speed quite rapidly. So fourth gear. And it was only getting started before I had to slow down. For the city, if you want performance, city and some highway riding, I think there is no better bike than the 390. It's just so much fun. It's very aggressive, it's powerful. Only thing is you have to get used to shifting the gears again and again. But when you are on an open stretch like this, you don't need to do any shifting. You can just leave it in fourth or now fifth, and it will just keep going forward. Guys, remember the braking, it's always 90% of braking from the front and about 5 or 10% from behind. When you use the front brake, the bike dives quite a bit, so you have to be aware of that movement also, because it can be scary for new riders. Shift it to fourth because I need power. Now it's an overdrive, 6th gear. This is the most relaxing gear for the highway. You can ride as slowly as maybe 60 kilometers per hour, all the way to 150 in the 6th gear. This is the most relaxing gear for the highway. So what is different about the Duke 390 compared to a regular bike? First of all, the performance. When I used to go for test rides before I bought the bike, and I was surprised by how quickly it goes. More than the acceleration, which is anyway quite scary. When I went for the first test ride, I remember I went so fast, and then the object in front of me, the vehicle in front of me, started coming towards me. I mean, I was going towards it, but I was going towards it so fast that I had to use all the braking, and that was a scary experience. So basically anything ahead of you under hard acceleration will start moving towards you very quickly, so you have to be careful about that. The regular bikes are more designed for city use and everything, so you don't have to worry about changing the gears. When you are riding on the road, always make sure your mirrors are properly aligned. There are a lot of blind spots. Even right now, there are a lot of blind spots on both the sides. You have to be careful that there are no vehicles in the blind spot. So a lot of times you see the mirror, it appears empty and you think there's nothing there, but actually out of nowhere something as big as an SUV might pop out of nowhere. Careful about the blind spot. Try to overtake from the right side. Always look in the mirror before overtaking, guys. I wish this message goes across to everybody. People don't check the mirror before making overtakes or changing lanes. That is one of the first things that you should do. Try to look over your shoulder as well, and then make the overtake, because it's not only safer for you, but it's also safer for vehicles behind you. You should have that situational awareness and try to be max aware of, don't be that guy, don't be these guys. Don't be these guys. That should be the number one point in our how to ride a motorcycle tutorial. Don't be like these guys. Did you see when I exited the highway, I not only gave the indicator, but I also showed my hand. It's very important, guys. People need to know what you have in your mind, what is your intention, where do you want to go. Oh, this is another thing that you must keep in mind. Don't feel shy to use your hands. I mean, I don't know if people perceive it as a very rookie or beginner level thing to show hands, but me, with my decent level of experience in riding also, at least in important situations, I do end up showing hand signals. When you know a signal is coming up in front of you, start shifting in advance. Use engine braking as well to slow down. Don't rely only on the brakes. That way you have more control on the bike. Right now I'm down to first gear. Try to align the gear shifting to what speed you want to be. Like for example, if I have to stop at the signal, then I'm let's say 100 meters before the signal, or 50-60 meters, I'm going to start shifting gears in advance so that I'm in full control of the bike instead of stopping at the last moment. Try to keep a good gap between you and the vehicle in front of you. It's very important to do that for your safety. I'm not recommending this as the gold standard or something, but I always keep my fingers on the clutch and as well as on the front brakes, because we are riding around in India. Anything can come out of anywhere at any time, so you need to be completely alert. For shifting the gear, I use 4 fingers and the thumb goes under the handle. Same with my right hand. My thumb goes under the accelerator here like this, and 4 fingers are on the brake lever. 4 fingers on the clutch. Don't ever ride like this, guys. Don't ever ride like this, because if you have to slow down all of a sudden, your hand's going to slip forward. Don't ride like that, because under hard braking, your hand might slip forward and you're going to let go of the handle completely. This part acts as a hook. Yeah, this part can take up all the braking force and you remain in full control of the bike. Same thing with the accelerator. I hold the accelerator with 2 fingers like this. I hold it with 2 fingers, and I hold this side of the handlebar also with 2 fingers like this. That's it. And everything else is on the lever. Only when you have like a really open stretch in front of you, you can kind of relax, take your fingers off the clutch and the brake levers. But most of the time, I think you're going to need that kind of control. Also, when you are riding a bike, you're going to have a tank between your legs. Now that is, people don't talk about that so much, but when you grip the tank with your legs, it actually improves the posture, it increases control of the bike, on the bike, and yeah, it makes you feel more connected, more one with the machine. It feels nice. The rider triangle matters a lot. So when you go bike shopping, make sure that rider triangle is comfortable for you. What may be comfortable for me may not be comfortable for you. So each person has it different, and you also have to know in what scenario are you going to be using the bike the most. Don't be in a rush to change gears. You should stay in the power band. This is the power band between 3000 to 8000. That is the juicy part of the Duke 390. Try to stay in that power band, because what happens is, if you shift the gears from, let's say, the 3rd gear to the 4th gear, the RPM is going to drop. More RPM means more control. Remember that, guys. Remember that. More RPM is equal to more control. You have more control of the bike. So even if the bike starts to make some noise, it's okay. You don't have to immediately and necessarily shift to the next gear always. Let it stay in that gear. It's okay if it screams a little bit. You are buying a KTM Duke 390. It's going to attract attention. It's going to make some noise. Stay in the power band. Don't be in a rush to shift gear. I can give you an example once I have a pre-stretch of road. What I mean when I say stay in the power band, like for example, let's say I have to accelerate. Now it's coming into the power band. It's already at 4000 RPM. Man, I always come up with these stupid tutorial ideas in maximum traffic. But anyway, I'm in 2nd gear. It's at 4000 RPM. You see, I did not shift. I let it cool down again in the same gear. This way, I use a lot of engine braking also to slow down. I didn't just use the brakes. So it's a very useful thing. 7000 RPM. I'm not in a rush to shift because I know I have to slow down ahead. What's the point of shifting? So I stayed in the 2nd gear. That's what I mean. Better slow down for this one. I can see cops. Cops seem to have a busy day today. Yeah guys, so that's it. Hotels. Let me start from the very basics if I have some time. Okay, the key is in my hand. Put it inside the keyhole. Turn it. Okay, you'll get a message saying ready to race. Turn on the ignition. And once you press the engine start button, the engine is going to come to life and the fun begins. Depression disappears. Another more effective way of starting from 0 kilometers per hour is. Right now I'm in neutral. I've held the clutch inside. Bike is in first now. Give some throttle and then slowly release the clutch. This way there's a lesser chance that the bike will stall when you're trying to do this. Give a little bit of throttle and then slowly let go of the clutch. You're not supposed to dump the clutch. Never do that. Especially at a higher RPM, if you just let go of the clutch, the bike is going to wheelie. Guys, another rule I think you should follow is never keep the bike in high beam. No matter what vehicle you have, always make sure that you're riding around in the low beam, because using the high beam is insensitive, because you're basically blinding the oncoming traffic. Not a good thing to do, right? We can't be selfish and provide maximum illumination to ourselves while blinding others. And this rule should apply across vehicles. Never use the high beam unless you're absolutely sure there's nobody coming from the opposite direction. So, you know, I would also go to the extent of switching between high beam and low beam endless times in the day. I want to have the best of illumination for myself, as well as being responsible towards other people. Keep that in mind. Don't use the high beam for no reason. Don't use the horn for no reason. Please guys, don't use the horn. There is no need for the horn unless you're in an extremely dangerous and precarious situation. Don't use the horn. I use my horn maybe once in 6 months. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Once or twice, maybe 3 times in 6 months. I do a lot of riding. I do a lot of highway riding. I do a lot of city riding. At times I have to also go to places in a rush. Sometimes I am riding around at night. I am riding around in the rain, heavy rain. I never use the horn. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Don't use the horn. It is not necessary. People are laughing at us enough for these habits of ours. It's time we change them, right? Actually, this is becoming a tutorial on how to ride or drive rather than how to ride a motorcycle or a KTM Duke 390, you know. These rules can be applied across vehicles. Observe, I am behind a line. Basically, the whole idea is to be thinking about others. The red signal is not only because the other side has a green signal. The red signal is also because that is the time pedestrians are going to use the zebra crossing to cross the road. If we keep breaking the red signal, when are they going to cross? It just is extremely chaotic. Avoid doing that. Yeah, that's it. I think that sums up pretty much all the things that I can think of right now. I'm sure there's lots more that I can cover, but we'll keep it at this. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. Also subscribe to the channel. The data suggests that a lot of you guys are watching but not subscribing, so hit the subscribe button. It supports the channel. See you in the next video, guys. A road trip is about to begin soon. Stay tuned.